What is up, Scrub family? It's been a little while. I'm back with another video just in time for you guys to get ready for the Charlotte regional that's coming up down in North Carolina this upcoming weekend. Before I get into this deck profile that's going to shape the way you think about the metagame moving into this weekend, I want to talk about my sponsor, Bearded Collectibles. You have the newest set coming out. Be sure to check out BeardedCollectibles.com. Get your sealed product. Go ahead and get your booster boxes, your starter decks, get all your fancy schmancy cards, get your promos, your dash packs, which Bearded Collectibles will be doing dash packs with all their stuff. So please check them out. Get your pre-orders in ASAP because products can be moving off the shelves real quick. This set is super hype. I'm incredibly excited to begin diving into the format and helping solve it for all you guys across the Dragon Ball universe, and Bearded Collectibles is where you should be getting your product from. Also, check out the apparel site. You can also find this hat, the Team Bearded hat, Team Bearded shirts, as well as the Scrub Fam 3XG shirt on BeardedCollectibles.com. So, without further ado, let's go into this format real quick before I go into the deck itself. So, if you guys have looked at a lot of the results from this past weekend where we had the ARG State Championships, you see a trend of blue, yellow, golden Frieza, blue, green starter deck Goku, blue, green, or blue, red Vegeta, and then Cell-Chain.dec all doing really, really well. I mean, of course, you have your outliers here and there. You have like Go Tanks and stuff, which had a good showing, which is awesome, but we know that on the major competitive scene, that's not going to be something that's going to be happening. So, going into this weekend, what you need to think about, number one, the rule number one of this format, energy matters. How much Timbo can you generate with 4+ energy? And so that's how the format becomes into Golden Frieza and Starter Goku giving you reusable energy. So energy that you can use, of course, multiple times on turns 4, 5, 6, and beyond. And that's how you generate your tempo, and that's how you end up winning the game, is because you just start generating more tempo than other people can, especially if you get there first and start doing more powerful things faster. And Android 17 also plays into that, interesting metagame, and the reason why this is the deck that I have right here for you guys, because the fact that he provides cost reduction. So the androids provide cost reduction, so you're getting to play stuff that's really powerful for cheaper, and you're getting a buff to those, especially when you get down to 4 or less life. And so that's how Android 17 fits in that picture. Then you have Vegeta and Trunks, who tries to end the game before energy becomes a factor. If you've ever watched the games of Vegeta versus Starter Goku, or Trunks versus Starter Goku, or vice versa against Frieza, once they're getting to turns 5 or beyond, those games immediately turn to Starter Goku and Frieza's favor, because the Vegeta and Trunks decks just run out of steam, and then the turn 5, 6, 7 plays of the Goku and Frieza decks are just way better. So they're going to end up producing way more advantage, and that's how they're going to win the game. So they just create inevitability through just making better plays when the aggro decks are really just positioned to win within the first 4 turns of the game. So, with going into this weekend, thought process for myself is we have to counter the aggro decks and at the same time have game against Goku and Golden Frieza. So the cell chain will allow us to counter aggro by being able to manage their hand size. Android 17 is a great matchup against Vegeta, which is great because since Vegeta is going to be used to poach on starter deck Goku and Frieza decks alike, because that ends up being their worst matchup, is just these high pressure aggro decks that can close the door on them without giving them card advantage. And Android 17, of course, can play a similar game to Golden Frieza and starter deck Goku because of the fact that it has the ability to reduce cost. So the popular Android decks that I've seen for the most part are red-green androids, and so I think red-green androids are a really good start. I think it's a good starting point for the deck itself, but I definitely don't think that it's the place where you want to be in this format, because again, as the games go longer, you have a few problems. So number one, you run out of steam really fast. Number two, casting a Mighty Mask instead of an Android 20 is much worse in the current environment. You need something that forwards you to your cell chain more so than you need to play a 2 energy Mighty Mask and pop it to be able to fetch 2 cards, because you more so just need to be doing things that progress your win condition, which is honestly you're trying to deploy the cell chain as often and as quickly as possible in order to keep your opponent down on cards and keep them from having to respond to you and be on the back foot. And there's not a lot of removal in red-green androids. It's really just only the cell chain itself. And so when you rely on red-green, you're really limiting yourself in how you can deal with opposing threats. So you almost run into that same problem when you're playing red-green, where you just your opponent starts playing more threats on turns 5, 6, 7, and then you have no answers to them and you just end up losing the game because of it. And then, of course, you can't dive fully into androids to allow for better tempo and a more consistent, reliable cell chain because you can only play a certain number because you have to free up the red slots. The pros of red-green androids is Kaba. Kaba's amazing in red-green androids. He makes it so if your opponent tries to camp you at 7, you can put yourself to 6, or if they try and camp you at 5, you can put yourself to 4, so you don't have to worry about your awkward TNs. And then, of course, it's just an additional threat you can play for 1 energy across any portion of the game. So that's why red-green androids is good. So, if I were going to Charlotte, North Carolina, this is the 50-card main deck that I would sleeve up, and this is the deck that I would play as of right now. No BS. I'm not pulling any strings. So if you yourself are getting prepared for the event, this is a deck that you should think about. This is a deck you should try out on Octagon this week leading up to the event and see if it's something that can fit you. So to explain the deck itself, the reason why I picked Android 17 leader is because, number one, like I said before, he plays into this metagame that we talked about where energy matters because of the fact that you can deploy multiple threats on a single turn and then ultimately end up generating that tempo. And sometimes you can generate tempo faster than the other leaders can because once you get to 4 energy, your plays can become a little bit more devastating. And so we're really fixating on maximizing on turns 4, 5, and 6. If we go beyond that, that's fine because you can start to do even more. But turns 4, 5, and 6 are really impactful for this deck. But this deck also has the ability to create a devastating early game on turns 2 and 3 by having stuff like Chilling Terror, Android 17, growing evil life form cell, and then doing the cell chain running its way up. And then you have a great way to be able to generate card advantage because your leader awakens at 6 life. So when we're going over the deck itself, we'll just go over the ratios for you. So we're playing 4, 4, and 4 of all the cell chain pieces. We just need consistency, and not only just consistency, the goal of this deck is to deploy the cell chain at least twice per game, whether if you're doing the full 3 to 5 to 7, or if you're doing the 5 to 7, or if you're doing the fancy 5 to 5 to 7. You just want to make sure that you can do it as often as possible, so you're putting your opponent in a really tough spot. And so we max out on 4 copies of each. We run 3 Terrible Creator Android 20. This is just a way for us to be able to get a particular Android we need for 17 or 18 throughout the course of the game. A lot of the times you could use this at any portion if you needed to set up your combo to be able to fetch a Twin Brother to be able to untap your Exterminating Energy Android 18. So this plays into the fact of when you start to have more energy, creating those plays for yourself and creating your own sense of inevitability. Because once you get a Twin Brother down and an Exterminating Energy Android 18, you're going to be able to close the game out, especially if you self-change earlier in the game. So I really like running 3. I was testing it at 4. Felt like I was seeing this way too much when I would rather be seeing something else. So I cut it down to 3 in the list. So my Android 17 splits, I run 2 Chilling Terror, 2 Twin Brother, 2 Expanding Energy. Main reason why is because each one of these serves a purpose. With the amount of decks that can self-awaken, sometimes getting the Chilling Terrors, you're almost too late. Whereas I really like 2 in the sweet. 2 feels like a really good sweet spot for me, especially with the 3 Terrible Creator Android 20s. The reason why I'm running 3 instead of 2 Terrible Creator Android 20s is because I wanted the extra opportunity to fetch the Chilling Terror if I didn't get it myself. And then, of course, the 2 Twin Brothers, like I said before, this plays into your combo of Twin Brother and tapping your Exterminating Energy, so you need to have these in the deck. And then 2 Expanding Energy Android 17s. I really just like this card. This card helps play into Overrealm really well because it lets you continue to combo, pitch cards to hand, swing with this, draw back up to 4. So I like using this to kind of help, add to that mechanic because it just incentivizes me to dump my hand because I'm going to be able to get cards back. And then, of course, you combo that with Twin Sister Android 18. So when we go to our Android 18s, we run 3 Twin Sister 18s and 3 Exterminating Energy Android 18. Both these cards are very important to the deck itself. This, of course, because it untaps your Android 17s. And then, of course, this because this ends up becoming one of your finishers across the course of the game because of the powerful ability it has, and it becomes a 25k. And so that's where that becomes really powerful. So the extra cards of the deck I run as combo pieces, and I run them as combo pieces because I want to have the ability to fill the discard pile for Overrealm. So I don't run negates because I don't have the ability to fit those additional card slots into the deck because I really wanted to focus in the main deck, like as I stated before, on the consistency of the cell chain itself. So we're running 4 of our 10k boosts. We're running 4 TNs to awaken ourselves, 3 Furthering Destruction Champa, 3 Ultimate Judgment Jocko. The Jockos, like I said before, this is just going to be your defense card, but it's also something that I can get into the discard pile to be able to few Overrealm. And then Furthering Destruction Champa, honestly, a lot of my big major attackers aside from my androids are my Kales and my mirrors. And so since I have crit attackers, I love being able to take advantage of having Choppas in the deck. And then of course Android 17, you can, your opponent's at 2 life, swing with your leader, they don't use a negate, and then you just go ahead and further instruction chop a combo your whole entire hand, and then the game's just over because they have no way to deal with it. And so I just like having the flexibility of this card in the deck, especially like I said before with my crit attackers. And so the main centerpieces, I don't want to say the centerpieces, but the thing that makes this deck get away from playing a full second color is the fact that I run 4 Kales. So with the fact that you have Overwhelm cards, with the fact that you have Terrible Creator Android 20, the 17s, you have your Soul Chain, things like that, you have the ability to activate Kill really easy in the deck. And so once you get to turn 4, especially on the play against Goku, you're going to end up winning the game a lot of the time, even if you're on the draw, because of the fact that you're going to be able to get this down and you have a critical attacker that's going to be able to do damage to them without them being able to respond to it, and them just having to take the damage itself. And then of course this has the ability to draw a card when you get your hand down to 5 or less cards, which is great because it again incentivizes me to get my hand size down by pitching to combo, which helps fuels Overwhelm and then allows me to draw cards. And of course this gives me access to removal, which like I stated before was a huge crux of the red-green Android deck, or even the blue-green Android deck, was just not enough removal in the deck to be able to keep up decks past turn 4 or 5 and beyond. So next we have 3 Mirror from the Darkness. I love this card. This card just coming in and just having critical and being for free. So it's, cost me no energy. I just, take 4 cards, put them in the warp, drop a mirror. So there's some game states or board states that I've developed where it's like in Android 17, exterminating Android 18. I drop a Kale that turn, and then I go ahead and activate all these different abilities. So I'll swing with 18, I'll swing with 17, trigger, untap this, swing with 18, again, swing with Kale, and then remove, put them in the warp zone, and then put mirror down, and then swing with mirror to go for game. And you just generate so many actions against the opponent that they just can't do anything to you. And then of course the crit's big. 20k crit body combining with further instruction Champa is just huge for this deck, and it's just strict. This puts us in the realm of just playing really good cards in this deck, and that's what I wanted this deck to be. Like, I just want to play really good cards, and Mirror falls into that category. Just 20k crit attacker is amazing. And then of course 2 Mass Saiyan, the Mysterious Warriors. This just helps us with, again, removal. It shores us up, gives us another Kale in a sense, but again, just comes in handy because it's 1 energy for a removal spell, which most people are only playing up to 5 cost things anyway. And so getting this out, using the Overwhelm to get into play is awesome. And I've really liked playing with this card in the deck at 2 copies. 3 Mirrors. The main reason why is because I want to see at least 1 to 2 per game. 2 Mass Saiyans, I really just want to see 1 per game. The second, I never really ever cast the second, but I really need to have enough copies where I can find it just in case 1 gets put in my life pile. So I play 3 and 2 because of how much I want to see the cards itself. One thing that I really like about running the Overwhelm cards with androids is if one of your cells dies after you cell chain, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards in your discard pile. So then you can immediately overwhelm on your turn once after your opponent kills one of your cells. So this has really good synergy with the androids itself, because like I stated before, once the cells die, you can overwhelm on your turn with no problem and have no issues. So there's some turns where you could play a Kale and a Mass Saiyan in the same turn. There's turns where you could play an Android 17, Exterminating Energy, Android 18, and a Mirror in the same turn. And that puts us where we want to be. We want to be playing multiple threats per turn, things that can threaten our opponent's life total every time without having to give them a lot of cards, and allows us just to grind opponents out. So this is more so closer to a mid-range version of androids. I really like this deck in the format as it exists right now. Going into set 3, the deck's going to change a lot, but as of right now, if you're looking to go to Charlotte, this is a deck I highly recommend to pick up and play with before the weekend gets here. Just get yourself familiar with it, see how it feels to you. The sideboard, you can go either way. There's part of me that wants to just have a sideboard of red, so I could just lean into the red-green androids deck. There's also a part of me that wants to, lean into blue. because of Sensu Bean is how good, strong Sensu Bean is. But right now, this is the 50 card main deck that I've been playing with and I've had a lot of success with. I hope you guys get a chance to test it out. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I'm going to try and make videos more often now. Schedule's still really busy. My life is really busy. But set 3 is coming out, so I know I'm going to end up going into the laboratory, locking myself away in a dungeon where no one can find me and just brewing all the decks. And then I'll be doing deck profiles on all those just like I did in set 2, so you guys can kind of see what decks will look like before the set actually, gets here in March. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for everything you've done. Thank you so much for helping me hit 1,000 subscribers. I'm going to do something special for you guys. I'm going to come up with it now. If you guys have any ideas of what you want for after we hit the 1K subscribers like we did, put it in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, you guys are amazing. Scrub fam is best fam. I love you all. Okay, bye!